Ana Domingo, founder of Pastel. She's not here. Miguel Payeros, manager of Cluster of Innovation, Technological Innovation and Tourism, and Anthony Munar, tourism consultant in Mallorca. And then Mateo Amangual, manager of the Research and Development Center for Tourism. And then we'll have the official closing of the seminar. Thank you very much. Well, I'm delighted to be again the chairperson of the last panel in this INTO seminar. Among many things we have seen today that we can innovate. Maybe we haven't been successful because Aina Pons, she wanted to have more people on the panel than among the audience. But this is not very well balanced yet. We want to be more than you. That would have been really new and innovative, but it hasn't been the case. But we are many up here. I'm going to repeat that Miquel Payas is the manager of the Innovation and Technology Cluster of Tourism. And I repeat his presentation because yesterday I didn't do it properly. And yesterday I made a mistake when I presented him, and he told me so I couldn't sleep. I spent the whole night awake thinking of my mistake. So I want to correct it so I can give him the proper title. Now, in these sessions, we have seen how creativity is a production factor, basic and decisive of a change in a tourism model. And when we talk about the possibility of converting public destinations in the case of the Balearic Islands, we should bear in mind the fact that creativity could be a very important factor to help develop destinations. In this session, we have seen the main decisive factors for creativity. And there's one thing that is clear, which is these factors are fear of failure. If we are afraid of failure, will be restricted. There's no creativity if we are afraid. This is something essential. And then something essential as well is that creativity demands serious effort. It's not just talent that makes it possible to say a few funny things without previous work. No, this is not the case. Creativity requires hours and hours of hard effort. And moreover, creativity demands metrics, being able to measure. So from the measurements, we can create and innovate. But first, we have to be able to innovate. I'm being a little bit more pessimistic. If we take into account the main agents for tourism and creativity, summing up public sector. What is the role to play by the public sector? Because Mr. Turkel, which is amazing, we had to listen to an American to be told that the role played for the public sector for the reconversion of Miami has been decisive, solving coordination problems. I don't think that we are aware of this here. I'm quite critical regarding the role that has been played by the public sector, sadly. For years, I said that the public sector had to play a very important role in the economy. However, the examples we have seen in the last few years, as I said yesterday, after 40 years of a brand known as Ibiza, changing the name to Ibiza, or something that must be sponsored by the Taxi Federation, when we have to build a trail track environmentally friendly between Manacor and Arta, well, that's, if we are going to build a rail track, where should we do it? Well, the best way to do it without affecting the business of the taxi drivers must be between Manacor and Arta. This is not socially efficient, this is not environmentally efficient, but is very novel and new. Another thing regarding the public sector, and yesterday was stressed a lot, is metrics. How can we create and innovate if we don't measure things? And before, we have to take measures. And in the public sector, there's no enthusiasm in the field of trying to gather data. Data are not good, the quality of the data is not good. We have to develop efforts, which is not very attractive because no one can sell votes by gathering data. It's a boring, not grateful work, and the public sector hasn't done it. Moving to the private sector, we have some examples. For instance, Ibiza. Ibiza as a World Heritage, the only city which is a World Heritage next to the sea. And when I went to Ibiza to take part in the survey and in a conference, there was no webpage of a hotel in Ibiza that mentioned the asset. The cost of adding the fact that it's close to the sea is zero, but no one had done it. We are working in a consulting company established by some professors in the university because no one listens to us when we say that tourism is very important. And we are offering things to companies that we think do work in other places, but we don't have data available, which means that companies are open to cooperate, but not all of them. Innovating, transforming means disturbing, and some people are very fearful of disturbing. When we set up our company 2 years ago, our motto was only to those who do not want to change are afraid of coping or think that coping is disturbing. And we see that in the private sector. We need as well to manage destination in a different way, which requires data from the private entities, and private entities doesn't seem to be very enthusiastic on the idea of sharing data. Then, in the creativity, we have the teaching institution. I spoke about university yesterday, and the biggest innovation of the university in the last 30 years is building, designing a roundabout in which no one knows who has priority. This is amazing. Another example, if we look at the university and we look for the most creative, the most talented person, I can tell you where to find it. In a corner outside the university is someone that has a lab doing amazing, unique things with awards at international level, someone that would have a knowledge in every other university, and in our university, that person is an annoyance. Is annoying. So as you can well hear, I'm very optimistic here. So I'm going to address to our panel, starting with priorities. Mateo Amengual has to leave early. He has an appointment in Madrid. I don't know who's the person he's going to meet in Madrid. He didn't want to tell me, but he has to go. So I'm going to ask you all, do you agree with the diagnosis? Creativity is a factor that can be decisive, determining for competitivity. And do you think that there are problems in the institutions that should be playing a role? Public sector, private sector, and the education entities. I would like you to answer from your perspective, and I would like you to mention possible solutions. So do you share the diagnosis, and then we can go to the possible solutions. The only limit is time. Mateo Mengual is going to leave very soon. He's afraid of missing his flight.
¿Esto cómo va? ¿Hay preguntas o...?
Are there any questions? Or how does it go? I've loved the workshop. I remember that when I started hearing about things on creativity was at the end of the 90s. At the end of the 90s, beginning of the 2000s, when we had the boom of the websites, in all of the projects that I worked with, we always had a group of creatives who were different. They had different hairstyles. They had long hair. They were wearing maybe jewelry, and we were all dressed in ties, and they were supposed to be sort of creative and special and all of that. Nowadays, with the crisis that we're going through, I've heard um, many companies saying, we don't know how we're going to resolve the problem, but we'll do it in a creative way. All of that brought me to thinking, and it's quite in the line of what has been said before. It got me thinking that creativity has to be a process of innovation, and it's actually the head of innovation. And the processes of innovation should be processes established in companies and in institutions. Processes that should be regulated just as all other processes are regulated. So yeah, they need their time. I like that, and they need to be regulated. And then I'd like to add something about something that was said yesterday during the first session, and it had to do with mature destination and obsolete destinations. I don't want to talk about obsolete destinations. I prefer the term mature destination. So we are a mature destination, but the tourism industry is not mature. The growth we've had in the last couple of years have been huge. We will continue growing, taking into account the emerging countries, etc. I believe it is very recent industry, and I want to say this in this ambience of depression and crisis that we seem to be in. I think that in a young sector which is growing, there are lots of opportunities. We might see them or not, but they are there, and there will be more. And if we have a look at the history, let's think about how many sectors have had to reinvent themselves constantly as much as tourism. How do we have to reinvent ourselves? I don't know, but there are techniques, and we've had the proof earlier that there are techniques that allow us to reinvent ourselves, to transform ourselves. So those techniques that are there, we should use them. I believe that this industry has features that other industries do not have, and that in order to transform ourselves successfully, we have to transform ourselves as a destination, not at an individual level, but as a destination. If I have a hotel in an area of the Playa de Palma that is in chubby area, I might insist in having a super hotel there, but I might not be very successful because of the area. So this is something we need to do all together as a destination. And for that purpose, we need to change certain things. We need to work together, and that's where we need the public sector as well. We need a social governance that will generate the confidence to impose that change. We lack that confidence. The rest of it is just techniques, not product techniques. Something else that is also appreciated in our tourism evolution is that we haven't taken into account clients' opinion, really. So in that transformation, in that reinvention that we have to do, well, we can use the different techniques, but there are techniques that look at what the client says directly. We have to take the client into account. Fine, but related to the public and the private sector. Let's not wait for the public sector to resolve everything. We have examples of failure, like Playa de Palma has been going down for many years. It's not been very successful. And what I heard lately about the initiative of Sol Meliá in Illetas. Well, I'm not sure whether it's going to work or not, but I think it's a a great initiative. If Meliá obviously enters that project, is to win money. But let's not wait until the administrations actually solve the problems. The administration is there to actually facilitate the work for the private initiative. They have to be diligent. I'd like to ask the administration two things, basically: to be diligent and to take the measures necessary in order to make that change into social governments possible, to work together, to do things together, to allow that the private initiative can bring about what they would like to.
Thank you very much. I'm not Luis del Olmo, and Inapos won't let me finish late. We have 3 minutes 45 seconds per speaker in order to be able to finish in time. So we'll follow the order of the panel, so we don't miss on any minute. Tony Munar. Hello and goodbye. Is there creativity? In these 2 days, it has been shown Did you ask me, is there creativity? I'm sure that there is. And the example is what we have seen in these 2 days. I've been fascinated to listen to Francesc Grimald, the way he showed us how Steve Jobs, in a garage, he created a wine brand and a good wine. What's his assets? What are his assets? Enthusiasm, faith, will, and determination. And he's not afraid of failure. And that's why he was successful. I was fascinated when I was listening to Miguel from Psycho Block. I know them because my 3rd boy is into Psycho Block. So sometimes I had to give him a lift to the different cliffs in Santagny. That's where you have more exciting walls to practice Psycho Block. In the tourism industry, is there creativity? Of course there is creativity. It's true that there's more mimetism than leadership. This is true as well. What Sol Meliá does, for instance, is an example, a clear example of leadership. It anticipates the problems. Before the problem becomes an emergency, he says, let's look for a solution. That's why I would totally agree with their project, not because part of my heart was in Sol Meliá, because I worked there for 5 years, but they show that they prevent the emergencies in a few years. They're going to solve it and turn it around, and they're going to turn it into a new possibility, a new opportunity for an area which, as they have well spotted, is surrounded by high-value products, while what is in the area, a specific area, is losing more and more value. Joan Prego said before, if we don't practice creativity, the skill doesn't come up by itself. I'm so lucky as a company consultant to travel all over the world and to be paid to do so. So I'm extremely lucky. However, if we keep our eyes wide open, we always learn. We keep learning. And you're a sponge, you suck everything. And if you are able, within your own lab, to go through the alchemy process, then many ideas are going to come up. That's why I'm being paid for as well, to have ideas. But there's something else that Mateo Mengual mentioned. How many of those who have a business tourism, not only hotels, because we keep talking about hotels now, all those who have a business in the tourism industry, if we listened only to 10% of what the clients think when they are consuming their product or their service, many things could be avoided, many surveys that are very expensive. What I'm trying to say with my statement, Turkel was very clear. He put the finger on it. The tourism industry is one of the most powerful, that has longer path traveled in the world. We are part of a region, the most important region in the world, Europe. Europe is our larder. We go to our larder and we keep segmenting, diagnosing, assessing, and we preempt the needs of those consumers. 450 million, which is quite a lot. I don't see why there should be a crisis. I see plenty of people that are always lamenting themselves and complaining. And Einstein said it before me. Those who say there's only crisis, these are conformists. Those are pessimistic. Those who actually, in fact, make things move forward are those who have the will to do so, those who are creative. And in order to finish, you were talking about the administration. In the administration, in the public administration, we have those who we have voted to be there. So if we have voted them, we have to demand on them. We need to have a framework, a simple, easy to interpret and flexible framework, but that the framework should be implemented. If we did so, we would have won a lot. So, as I've spoken too much, by 45 seconds, I have to stop. Thank you.
I'll try to recover those 45 seconds. And I'm going to speak in the name of Baleares.t as marketing director of Meliá International. That's what I did for a long time. But this year, I'm the president of Baleares.t. And for those of you who know the activities of Baleares.t, is that we are tourism. Balearic Islands are tourist, and that's not something we invented from one day to the next. It's something that we have been for a long time, and maybe we should think about whether we have been that or we continue to be that. What I have been living in the last 2 years, living on the island, is that there is a tremendous energy that has made this destination, Balearic Islands, the leader in tourism since many, many years, since the 50s. And for that purpose, we have needed a lot of creativity. Therefore, it exists. It is there. We've been using it, and it's what has taken us all the way to where we are. I have no doubt that we are creative. What I have observed is that we are very dispersed. It's like an army that doesn't have a focus on where to focus, where to have their objectives. We function more like a group of children that come out of school to their break time and they start running in all directions. And maybe it seems very funny, very creative, but maybe that's not the type of creativity that we need. We need to focus that creativity on something. And that is an obligation, both from the public and private sectors. And they both have a very important role. The private sector needs to stop fighting among themselves. Somebody has to be the leader of this project. Someone has to do things that are not going to always be in agreement with 1,000 other opinions. We need to identify the objective and get on and work on it. With the deficit that we have nowadays, we're not going to get a lot of help or fundings or financing from the government. We might knock at the door and say, well, we need some money. Everybody does, but the money is not there. So we're going to have to generate new value, new richness to have money in our boxes again. What the administration needs to do is to enhance or facilitate our way instead of making it difficult for us. they will also have the problem that they won't be able to satisfy all of the votes in this country. They will also have to take challenging decisions. They're not going to make everybody happy, that's for sure. But if we want to continue having the leadership that we have, and I have no doubt that we have that, we need to start. We need to start beginning mature both ways. That's the message I wanted to give. Oh, you've been 16 seconds too long. Wow.
Good morning. Two issues I would like to discuss. First, have we been innovative or not? Secondly, how to finance, how to promote and finance innovation. Are we still innovative? Well, Manuel Fagaire Irbane, when he was all over Spain opening paradores, this kind of national five-star hotels, he didn't come here because others were doing it in other parts of Spain. Changes in demand have shown that we have the capacity, as the book says, Who Stole My Cheese, to adjust to circumstances. We see how we are using from Palma. Are we making the most of the cruise liner tourism? We have to change. We have to introduce important changes, not only in the tourism industry, others, like the shopkeepers, the trade. They try to offer the same now as they did 30 years ago, Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. in the morning till 8 o'clock in the evening for 2 hours in the middle for lunch break. I think that we have gone beyond all that. How can we promote and finance innovation looking forward? Mr. Amengual, and he just left, has said a few things that I think they're very interesting. And Dr. Javier Rey has made reference to a serious problem, the data gathering. Serious problem, not only in the tourism industry, in the finance, in the economy in general. If you think that the data regarding real estate sales, the number of operations and the cash or the finance in the capital that is transferred is not believable. What we know doesn't correspond with the reality. So data gathering is very, very important. That should be organized by Fitur, and then we should sell to the investors the need for innovation or creativity within the innovation. If innovation is very large, creativity can be even larger. How could we finance all that? There are many different possibilities, but I would like to stress to financing of innovation projects. The large companies know it, and the small companies should do synergies in order to be able to use them. They require financing from the public agencies, non-autonomic, not from the region. In the last innovation plan of the Research and Industry Center of the Ministry for Industry, the project finance has had a decrease around 20%. So we all have not been able, we haven't been able to get financing from Madrid nor from Brussels in order to innovate in our centers. This has to be addressed. Hopefully it's going to be addressed soon with the renewal of the agreement we have with the Ministry for Industry. with more information from the administration regarding the possibility of financing, and then the transfer of information from the financing entities Brussels to the entrepreneur needs the company of a consultancy companies that are specialized in attracting financing for innovation of tourism companies from Brussels, money coming from Brussels. This is what we need to do. This is the goal from our direction general. And that's all. Facilitate all that. That's what we should do from the public powers perspective. We cannot, the public entities cannot be the leaders of macro projects, like the one of Playa de Palma, which ends up being macro and project and nothing else. So the main goal is to look for financing, for money from Brussels or from the Ministry of Industry and all these agreements that are going to be set up with the new agreement from the 15th of December, when I have my first meeting with the Direction General for Research and Knowledge Transfer. Thank you very much.
Hola. Gracias, Miguel.
Thank you very much, Miguel. Now you have to tell me how you want to stop. You're entitled to do so. Creativity. I want to tell you a story. When the scientific committee were thinking of the theme of Intro this year, that's already a creative meeting. We meet and we say, what's tourism? What's new in tourism? That's how Intro works. And we have an aerial. The antenna officer. We are antennas. That's what we do. We work in the field of industry, research, industries. What's the buzz now? What's happening now? And we felt buzz now is creativity. What's happening and why it's happening? Why creativity is in fashion? Why are you so busy with your workshops that seemingly are very successful? So I want to give my perspective. What is this changing? Is the growth and capitalism model? How do we create value in societies? We have moved from an industrial model of repetition and cost to a fast innovation model. In fact, what happens is that we are copying the traditional industries that used to work as factories. They are copying the model work of creative industry, cultural industries, for instance, the cinema industry. Years ago, they have been working in all these industries with projects, with teams of people. There are clusters where you have knowledge and passion about one industry, and they're highly flexible. What we see is that more and more the industries that are growing and that generate growth and employment worldwide are those industries that copy the business models of the creative industries. What did Intra do this year? And what we have to learn from Intra this year. Traditional industries in the tourism field, and I have in mind tour operators, transport, accommodation and hospitality, we all have to learn. We have to copy and merge and have hybrid projects with creative industries, because this is where value is. And why value is there? Because we cannot reproduce mechanical processes. Value is in the brain of people. When we talk about resources of the Balearic Island, the most important resource we have here, together with nature, is brain. Brain of our people. There's one thing very important. Maybe we haven't expanded on it. But before finishing with this intro, I want to say it loud and clear. Passion. We all have passion. But there's something else. In the psycho block of Miquel Díaz, or 4 kilos of Francesc Rimat, or Turkel, of Microsoft's knowledge. People have passion, but they're experts. They're amazing experts. Miguel is an expert in climbing. Francesc knows everything that is to be known regarding wines. Turkel is an expert on branding. He knows everything that needs to be known about branding. What is the message? Invest in knowledge. It's not enough to say we have to merge, we have to be smart, we have to look for creative people, for designers. No, we have to do what the creative people do. But moreover, we have to invest in knowledge. We have to be passionate about knowledge, because if we have no knowledge, we can be passionate, but it will end up in a smoke. Passion without knowledge has no value. That's all. Thank you. I would like to start thanking the invitation. I miss Park Beat. I'm not here anymore. I used to be here, and I really miss it. So thank you for being invited to be here. I would like to especially address my thanks to the Director General, because we are from different teams. He's a Madrid supporter. I'm a Barça supporter. Despite that, he invited me to take part here. So that gives him credit, and I wanted to make it clear. That gives him credit. People in the Madrid, we are like that. Being frank about tourism, I know very little or nothing. The seminar is about innovation in tourism, and about innovation, I think I do know a little bit. In fact, in the institution where I work, I'm in charge of the department for innovation. And in my profiles in the networks, I have added apart from research and I added expert in the technology innovation, because I'm convinced that this is true. Having said that, I knew that there was going to be no time to speak here, so I wrote what I want to say here in my blog. You can find it in my webpage, which is peroliver.com. So I don't have to be under the pressure of not being able to say. What I wrote in the blog has two facets. One, what I have been treating during all the meeting, the ideas that to me were more interesting, and I'm going to add some more ideas today. And then there's something else, something which is very orthodox, and it's the one I want to make reference today. And then those who are interested can go to my blog and read it. To me, the seminar is more innovation, not tourism. Of course, it's focused on tourism, but to me, the main focus is innovation. Innovation means using knowledge to create wealth. I said something similar before. Creativity to create wealth. This is very important, of course. I've heard it so many times. Creativity comes when you are working hard. It doesn't rain from the skies. And methodologies are very important. And mainly it's important to have an innovative industrial fabric. This is what I try to write in my blog. An importance of being able to transfer knowledge as well. And in the heart of everything, the company. The company is the founding block of innovation. If the company is not willing to innovate, well, there's no point in generating knowledge or in transferring knowledge. In our autonomous community, in the last 25 years, we have had two stages. First, our PI GDP was 50 points above the Spanish average, 150 points above the average. And in the last 25 years, first we had a drop of 130, and now we are on the average on the Spanish. So our GDP is falling down faster and faster. And this is where we have to react. and where innovation has a very important role to play. I thought it was very interesting what Ferran Porto said, a business person who shared with us his experience. And the problem he encountered is dodgy, poor, cheap vision of tourism, one-star hotels, as the tour operator recommended him. How much is there left? We are here. Many things have changed. But how much is there left in our tourism world of this poor, cheap vision? Because this is a problem. Many concepts have been said many times here, and I mentioned that in my blog. The markets of one is a reality which is very important. The long tail of sun and sand, a very important concept as well that has been discussed before. Innovative companies that are able to de-learn, it has been mentioned as well, highly important. And it was said as well that we need to look for creativity, not for the tourist, but with the tourist. Another concept. And all these are ideas that can give us some guidance. Not to be afraid of failure. The example of wine, how France has kept the wine industry. Why? Because the soil cannot be delocated. The soil, the land, they have looked after the soil. You can copy the varieties, the plants, the methods, but not the soil. The soil cannot, and the land, the territory cannot be copied. And some of the examples that we have seen here are amazing. Luis del Olmo made a presentation that I think is vital when he spoke about clusters, the business associations of innovation. Balears.t, again, this is the tool. This is the tool that we have to use because it's an association of companies. It's the entrepreneur, which are the keystone. Of course, we need knowledge, we need transfer of knowledge, but the company has to be there. It's the keystone. Well, I think I still have 45 seconds left, and I want to say one last thing that came to my mind before when Pep Tour was talking about Pacha in Ibiza. He spoke about the fact that in innovation we have to look back in time as well. And I have an idea in my mind, always like a smoke screen that is in front of our eyes. We have a sun and sand tourism. 10 million visitors come here. And of course, we don't see behind the trees, don't let us see the forest. When I was young, I had an uncle who was a tourist guide in Bacon Leeds company, and I went with him many times. We didn't have 1 million visitors in the island at the time. I remember that we used to stop in Caldimoni, visit the caves of Drag. We went to buy the Mosa, Sawyer. Then we had the Dimonis in Algaida. And the tourism was hundreds of thousands. Now we have sun and sand of millions, but we have the long tail of hundreds of thousands. And here we have seen so many examples of these hundreds and thousands of long tail visitors. So we have to be able to look forward, as I said, to see the tourism. The other one, great, very interesting, very profitable, maybe. It has its segments, but I look at the others, because we have seen clear examples of a small, medium-sized niches of the market, which are highly exciting. And I think I have no more time. Well, my contribution is structured, is a summary of what has been said here. We are, and I think we all agree, of course we are creative. Can we? Do we want? We can. The question is, do we want? This is the main question. In order to do what we need to do, we have, in our essence, a challenge to face. And this is to prove that we are socially mature. How do we understand being socially mature? Well, by actions in which, in principle, different things are combined, such as organization, collaboration, and participation. Instruments. The instruments are there. We have them all. Balears.t, as it has been said, tries to have people working in a collaborative environment and demands commitment through participation. If we are able to integrate the excellence that we have here, I have no doubt that we will be able to do many things, because despite the system, if we have a caustic environment, what comes up is shining. To end up a message, a very specific message addressed to the young people, to those who with passion or without passion have trained, are skilled, and now they have to face the real hard fact that there's no room for you in the labor market. You're not going to be hired till you prove that hiring you is profitable for your employer. And it's very difficult to see in the current environment. In the labor market, with the simile in a theater, there's no more empty seats. So the only place where you can stand is on a stage. We need actors, but there's no more empty chairs, that's what I think, in the current environment. We need actors, we need people to be on a stage. Tourism is one of the industries less exclusive, or sorry, that doesn't create barriers. Everything can be embraced in the tourism. We can have infrastructure experts, communication experts, marketing experts, transport experts, market niche experts. The list is endless, open-ended list. According to me, the seminar, apart from the professionals, should be deserve attention from the young one, from all those who can do things, though the environment is blocking their abilities. You have to be aware of the fact that what we recommend, at least in Balearic City, those who come to us, tell me something that you really like, and see whether we all together we can do it. And that's all. Thanks to the organizers for giving us the opportunity to be here. And I think that this is an excellent seminar, extraordinary, at least to have less doubts, to feel that we can do more than we actually say. And among the participants, you can see that in the seminar, there are some key people that are not here that should be here. People that should be here listening in main chairs, in the guest chairs, and they should be here to listen. It would be very helpful for their public and private jobs. And that's all. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Miquel. I received contradicting information regarding what should I do as a moderator. So I'm going to do what I think I should do. The seminar has been creativity and tourism. I insist creativity means transformation. Transformation means change. And change is disturbing. It can annoy many, which don't want to see any change. So we have to go beyond our borders, and we have to try to seduce. We have skills as leadership, as Luis del Olmo. We have seen Marlene Paul. Marlene Paul, she has always been open to change and innovation. So I think it's highly important, because what I'm trying to say is the following. We have to try to fight resistance, defeat all resistance. We have to seduce. But we have to be able that there's going to be resistance to change. As all mothers and some fathers know, wet children are the only ones that want to have a change. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank Aina Pons and the rest of her team, all their work in organizing this seminar.